know what is the input and what is the expected output. For suppose if you are taking a Gmail as a system, so you know username and password. Once you give username and password, it should enter into the mailbox. So what is happening in between entering into the mailbox and entering the details, you never know. Okay, the functionality, the platform, the logics, whatever that you are using, you don't know about it. That is called as black box testing. Okay, it is a closed box or opaque box, whatever it is. So you don't know because you only know what is input and what is expected output. But when it comes to white box testing, the tester will know what is an input, what are the functions and logics involved in that particular system, and what is the output. I hope you are understanding. So the developer, for example, if a developer is there, what type of testing he knows? He knows white box or black box. If it is a developer, program developer is there. So what type of example it comes under? Is it white box or black box? Yes, you are right. White box M7 and K1. You are right. I hope you have understood. Who have asked me this to explain? K1. Yes. K1 responded. Okay, fine. So when it comes to user, when it comes to user perspective, which box it comes under? Black or white? User perspective. I am an user. So it comes under which type of testing? Black box. Yes, you are right. Because the user don't know what is logic, what is program, and whatever it is there, he doesn't know. Okay, so that comes under black box testing. Okay, so this is one of the example. Yesterday also we have seen it. Okay, so once the testing is done, either white or black, you will be doing some testing. Like you will be checking whether there are valid inputs, whether it is processing correctly or not. These are the generic steps when valid inputs are given, whether they are getting detected or not, whether outputs are coming as per the expected outputs or not. So you'll be running these test cases, whether they are failing or passing. So once all the test cases are passed, it means there are no errors in your developed software. Once the test cases are getting failed, for suppose we have taken some test cases. So once they are getting failed, it means that you need to reprogram it, or else you need to re-establish the software again. So at that particular time, this regression testing comes. If your software is built one more time after testing, after white box or black box testing, then that comes under regression testing. So regression testing is the process of testing changes made to the computer programs to make sure that older programming still works with the new changes. For suppose, if you are taking an example mailbox system, there is some error in trash box. Okay, there is some error in the module called trash. But remaining inbox, compose, sent mail, all the things are not having any errors. You are just changing a particular component. So that component is being changed. So other program should work as it is. Okay, but the new modification should be changed. Okay, so if you are performing such type of testing, those are called as regression testing. So there is a need of regression testing because every program that has been developed will not come at an particular instance. That means at a single shot it will not be developed. There will be several test cases, and several tests need to be passed. Once it get failed, then it needs to be debugged, and the program should be rebuilt. So regression testing will be done in majority of the cases after white box and black box. Okay, so what is meant by retesting and what is meant by regression testing? There is a difference. Retesting is nothing but to test again, once again. But see, retesting means testing the functionality or bug again to ensure the code is fixed. Okay, you are just performing the test twice or 4 times. That is called as retesting. Okay, you are not modifying any code and checking the test cases. But whereas if you are debugging your code, if you are modifying your code, and if you are then checking, that is called as regression testing. See, Regression testing means testing your software application when it undergoes a modification, a code change, to ensure that new code has not affected other parts of the software. So whenever a software is modified and it is tested, that is not called as a retested. It is called as regression testing. Okay. Whenever you are testing the same software multiple times, that is called as retesting. I hope all of you are clear with what is meant by retesting and what is meant by regression testing. Okay. So now let us go for alpha test and beta test. So alpha test and beta test are nothing but it is the final stage, like the system testing or else acceptance testing. So what it means is once the testing phase has done, the final product will be generated. Okay, so that product will be given for the developers or the team who have developed to get it tested, all the test cases. So that is called as alpha testing. The software that is developed by the developers in that particular organization, those testing is called as alpha testing. So once alpha testing is done, it means that all the stakeholders of that company, let it be a project lead, let it be a team lead, let it be a software developer, let it be a database administrator, all these will be testing the software that is developed. That phase is called as alpha testing. Once that is tested, it is sent to the users, which is called as a pre-release testing. Before the release of the software, that the software will be given for some set of audience or some set of people where they will be testing this particular software. That is called as beta testing. For suppose, I hope as you are in second year, I don't think most of you have done it, but no. Play Store is the final product. Beta software is not like the software which is there in Play Store. Before that only. For suppose there are some versions like see, there is a MI company, there is Samsung company, there is Apple company. So before the release of the product, like yeah, before it comes into the real time market, there will be some users getting selected who will receive those phones or softwares, where they will just check whether all the buttons are working, whether all the icons are working, whether all the things that are displayed on the phone are working as per the expectations. So they will be given some time like 1 month or 15 days or 2 months. In those 2 months, what they are going to do is they are going to test that particular product and whether that product is working or not as per the expectation. Once all the beta testing is completed, all the pre-release testing is completed, then they will release this product to the customers, to the real world. Why they will release after this beta testing is that once the beta testing is getting good satisfaction report, automatically the customers will be satisfied. Okay, I hope all of you have understood what is meant by alpha testing and what is meant by beta testing. So now you can tell me, alpha testing comes under a white box testing or black box testing? Alpha testing comes under white box or black box, and beta testing comes under white box or black box. Okay, M7 is somewhat right. In alpha testing, it is done in the company itself by the developers and some other stakeholders. Only the developer knows the functionality. Remaining people like the company CEO don't know what is logic performed in it. Like the database administrator don't know what are the logics which are used in it. Only the software developer of that particular module knows the logic. Okay, there are different teams working on different modules. So all the teams doesn't know the logic behind working of different modules. Okay, only one team will be associated with a particular block of that particular functionality. Okay, so alpha testing is a white box testing, yes, and also it involves in black box testing, because some people don't know this logics also. Okay, it involves in both black box and white box, but mainly it involves in white box. Priority is given for white box only. Beta testing is done for the users. Pre-release testing, the users don't know what functionality is there, so it is completely black box. Okay, the beta testing is completely black box. Yes, beta black box, yes, that is right. Okay, so that there ends my topic called testing. So this is the summary. These are the different testings we have seen: unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and acceptance testing. So you can now clearly state where it is. Unit testing, we have already seen the individual component. Integration is nothing but integration testing that is done with more modules or with number of modules that are there. And system testing is for completed system software, like regression testing also comes here. So acceptance testing is the final phase of the system that has been developed, that is the beta testing. Okay, which is done by the end users. Okay, I hope all of you have understood it. So now let us see what is there in your notes. In black box testing, they have given different methods what we have, like graph based, the shortest path to find the shortest path between the blocks within the modules. Okay, equivalence partition, boundary value analysis. Equivalence is nothing but whenever there is some clause, like if the age is greater than 18, issue license. If the age is greater than 45, issue vaccination. So there are some clauses for that particular value to be assigned to it, that is called as equivalence partition. Okay, so boundary value analysis. Boundary value is nothing but if it is near to the analytic part, that comes under boundary value analysis. Okay, and orthogonal testing is wherein which we will be taking parameters into 4 parameters, such that the values that are being assigned to the software test cases are being measured. I will tell in detail. I will take FP analysis and I will explain you in this class itself. Okay, and in white box testing we will be discussing about basic path testing and control structure testing. It is nothing but the flow of the module that you have developed, and what are the different flow sequences that we have. We have already seen, like in structured programming, like if, while, looping statements for and other statements, which comes under the flow of the graph notation. Okay, and cyclometric complexity, this is very important, which is used to find the different ways for running the program. Okay, like loop testing is there. Loop testing is nothing but what are the different loops that we have learned, like simple if statements, nested if statements, and unstructured looping also. We will be having that particular type of testings methods in white box testing. Okay, because white box deals with the logical statements. So logical, whatever logical statements we have, all those logical statements will be included in white box. But in black box, we don't have any logical statements, so we'll be only measuring the path and graphs for that particular models. And when it comes to validation testing, we have seen that validation testing is to check whether the system is being accepted or not. So we have a V model for it. So all of you can see what V model is. Like we will be performing, after coding, we will be performing unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and acceptance. That is alpha beta testing. Once all these testings are done, we will be having that validation testing. Validation, and at the beginning itself, we have seen what is meant by verification and validation. Validation is to ensure that the modules are working as per its requirements or not. Okay, so we have seen what alpha testing and beta testing is. in detail, and we have seen what system testing is. Okay, so now we will go into the metrics, which is about software quality. What we have discussed in the metrics of the black box, we will be having that software quality metrics, where in which I'll be explaining you a concept called FP analysis. Okay, function point analysis. So all of you can go through the models what we have. So right now I am going to discuss about the metrics of the analysis model, that is function point analysis. Okay. Yeah, I will mark attendance. Don't worry, I'll late. So now, when it comes to a functional point metrics, this will be boring concept, and of course it is involved with mathematics. So all of you try to remember it. I don't think that a question will come in your examination to solve the problem, but if any problem is there, only this problem will be asked in software engineering. Okay, if it is asked as a theoretical question, then it is fine, you can write anything. Okay, so functional point metric is used to find the effectiveness of the measuring the functionality delivered to the system. Okay, so general ga manamu ఏ metrics follow అవుతాం సాఫ్ట్వేర్ క్వాలిటీని మెజర్ చేయడానికి. In general, we will be following LOC, that you know how to find the efficiency of an algorithm, how to find the efficiency of a program, basing on the number of lines that it consists of, basing on the time complexity and space complexity. Okay, if the number of lines are less, it consumes less time and less space. ఎక్కడ కూడా program efficiency find out చేయాలంటే you will be finding only through two ways, that is time complexity and space complexity. Time should be less and space should be less. If LOC is more, time and space will be less or more? Anyone of you answer? Lines of code in a program is less. Lines of code in a program is more. Is it directly proportional to time complexity and space complexity? Anyone of you answer? LOC అనేటువంటి తక్కువ ఉండాలా ఎక్కువ ఉండాలా? For any program, LOC should be but sir, infinite looping with less lines. Yes. Yeah. I'm asking in general. Yes, you're right. If there are looping times, it takes some more time. But in general, I'm asking, LOC is less. Is it directly proportional? If there are no looping statements, that's what I'm telling. Yes. M7 is right. He is focusing on the looping statements also. Yes, you should measure the efficiency of the program with the looping statement. It should not be n square, right? So the efficient method should be having the less looping statements, such that it consumes less time and less space. So for a generic program, we see that lines of code should be less. Okay, so next class kuda em lenattundi, we will try to complete this topic by today, endukante దీన్ని మనం we cannot divide it into two classes. Okay, so let us complete it by today. Okay, once the class is getting disconnected also, I'll try to rejoin it, but 9 minutes I think I can complete this topic. So function based points, functional point analysis, you need to remember that you are going to find out the efficiency of your developed software. So here we are having 5 different values, that is external input, external output, inquiries, logical files, and interface files. These are the things which are required for development of your software. Okay, so these 5 values have different weight factors. All of you should by heart these weight factors. ఒకవేళ ప్రాబ్లం కనుక అడిగారు అనుకోండి, ఆ ప్రాబ్లంకి మీరు సాల్వ్ చేయాలంటే కంప్లీట్గా వెయిట్ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ తెలియాలన్నమాట అందరికీ కూడా, బికాస్ దిస్ ఈస్ ద ఫార్ములా. ఓకే, సో ఈ ఫార్ములా బేస్ చేసుకుని మనం ఆ ప్రాబ్లంని సాల్వ్ చేయాలి. ఓకే, సో ఇన్పుట్స్ ఎన్ని ఉన్నాయి, అవుట్పుట్స్ ఎన్ని ఉన్నాయి, ఇంక్వైరీస్ ఎన్ని ఉన్నాయి, లాజికల్ ఫైల్స్ ఎన్ని ఉన్నాయి, ఇంటర్ఫేస్ ఫైల్స్ ఎన్ని ఉన్నాయి అనేటువంటి చూసి దాని వాల్యూస్ని మనం సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేయాలి. ఇఫ్ ఐ ఆస్క్ ఫర్ సింపుల్ weight factor, you need to substitute 34375. If it is for average, you need to substitute 454 107. Complex 676 1510. ఇప్పుడు నన్ను అడిగారు అనుకోండి, I cannot tell you because I don't remember these things. బట్ ఎగ్జామినేషన్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూలో క్వశ్చన్ అడిగితే కనుక ఖచ్చితంగా ఈ వాల్యూస్ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి. ఎందుకంటే ఈ వాల్యూస్ క్వశ్చన్లు ఎవరు. ఓకే, సో ట్రై టు రిమెంబర్ ఇట్. సో ద థింగ్స్ ఆర్ లైక్ ఇన్పుట్, అవుట్పుట్, ఎంక్వైర్, లాజికల్ ఫైల్ అండ్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్. ఇక్కడ క్వశ్చన్ కూడా మనకు చూసాం. ఆ క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటంటే, వాట్ ఈస్ ద క్వశ్చన్ గివెన్? let us see, I have one example with me, I will explain you that. సో ఇక్కడ ఈ ప్రాబ్లమ్ యూజింగ్ సింపుల్ వెయిట్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ సాల్వ్ చేయమన్నారు. సో సింపుల్ వెయిట్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ తోటి క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేసినప్పుడు వాల్యూ ఎంత వచ్చిందంటే 50 వచ్చింది అనమాట. ఓకే, సో ఇన్పుట్ ఎంతో ఇచ్చాడు, అవుట్పుట్ ఎంత ఇచ్చాడు. సో ఇన్పుట్స్ ఆర్ 3, అవుట్పుట్స్ ఆర్ 2, ఎంక్వైరీస్ ఆర్ 2, లాజికల్ ఫైల్ ఈజ్ 1, ఇంటర్ఫేస్ ఫైల్స్ ఆర్ 4. సో ఈ ఇస్తాడు మీకు ఎగ్జామినేషన్ లో క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయడానికి. సో క్యాలిక్యులేట్ ఎఫ్పి ఫర్ దిస్ కౌంట్ ఫర్ సింపుల్ వెయిట్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ అని ఇస్తాడు అనమాట. సో అప్పుడు మనం దాన్ని సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేసి మనం క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయాలి, ఎఫ్పి అనేటువంటిది క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయాలి. సో అది ఎలా చేస్తాం అనేటువంటిది చూద్దాం. సో సీ దిస్ క్వశ్చన్. ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ అబౌట్ ఫంక్షన్ పాయింట్ ఓరియంటెడ్ ఎస్టిమేషన్ మోడల్. కంప్యూట్ ద ఎఫ్పి వాల్యూ ఫర్ యావరేజ్ కాంప్లెక్సిటీ సైజ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. సో ఇక్కడ మనకు మెన్షన్ చేస్తాడు ఏ టైప్ ఆఫ్ కాంప్లెక్సిటీ చూస్తున్నాను, లో, యావరేజా, హైయా. 3 ఉంటాయి weight factors. Those are low, average and high. So if here in this example we have taken a simple in the notes, and now I have taken for average. So ikkada చూడండి, ఇక్కడ 3 into 3 9 వచ్చింది. బట్ ఇక్కడ అదే కనుక సేమ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ నేను ఇక్కడ ఇన్పుట్స్ అని తీసుకున్నాను 13. సో 13 తీసుకున్నానంటే 13 into ఇప్పుడు ఎంత అవుతుంది, యావరేజ్ 4. సో 13 into 4 అనేటువంటిది చేస్తాను అనమాట. వి విల్ సీ దట్. ఓకే, సో ఇక్కడ ఇన్పుట్స్ ఎన్నో ఇచ్చారు, అవుట్పుట్స్ ఎన్నో ఇచ్చారు, ఎంక్వైరీస్ ఎన్నో ఇచ్చారు, ఫైల్స్ ఎన్నో ఇచ్చారు, ఇంటర్ఫేసెస్ అనేటువంటిది ఇచ్చారు. సో ఇక్కడ 5 different points, that is input, output, enquiry and interface files. Okay, and the final types of number of files అనేటువంటి 5 types of values you will be given. Okay, the total values of the CAI is 13 and CAA is also given. So CAA అంటే ఏంటనేటువంటిది కూడా చూద్దాం. So first of all, in order to calculate FP formula is, all of you note it down, FP formula is UFP into CAA. Okay, in order to get FP, you need to find out unified functional point and CAA to find out the complexity adjustment attributes to find out FP value. So how do you find UFP? So UFP, we are having 5 values, right? First value, second value, third value, fourth value, fifth value, and those are multiplied with its weight factor. For suppose here we have taken 13, 4, 2, 5, 2. Those are the points, functional units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are calculating for average value. Average value weight factor is 4, 5, 4, 10, 7. So first let us see how we will be calculating UFP. So అందరూ కూడా ట్రై చేయండి, UFP ని క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయండి for this average and let me know what is the answer you get. 1 into 4, 2 into 5, 4 into 4, 3 into 4, 4 into 10 and 7 into 5 into 7. 5 అంటే ఇక్కడ ఏంటి, 1 అంటే అంత 13 into 4. Okay, and 4 into 5. Okay, then third value is what? Third value is enquiry. Enquiry is how much? 2. 2 into 4. Okay, so number of files is 5 into 5 into 10 and 2 into 7. That is what you are going to calculate. So all of you try to calculate what is UFP and let me know the answer. అందరికి అర్థమైందా ఎలా సాల్వ్ చేయాలా? Have you done it? 117. Yeah, I need to check it. Already calculate chesano, but only one person responded. What about the remaining people? 117 కాదు 144 వచ్చింది ఒకసారి చెక్ చేయమ్మా. See, 13 into 4, 4 into 5, 2 into 4, 5 into 10 and 2 into 7. Anywhere you missed it, you check once. First value, second value, third value and fourth value, and you should multiply with the average weight factors. Okay, so once you get UFP, that is not enough, because to calculate FP you need to multiply UFP with CAA. Okay, so what is the formula for CAA? CAA is 0.65 plus 0.01 into sigma Fi. So sigma Fi is nothing but summation of all the values. So summation, what they have given? They have given it as 13. See, they have given it as CAA as 13. So 13 we need to have, right? So to calculate CAA, we have 13, and CAA formula is 0.65 plus 0.01 into sigma Fi. So here we are having this default values. 0.65 plus 0.1 is the default formula, but we need to find out sum of the function. So sum of the function is nothing but 13 into degree of influence. Fi is nothing but degree of influence. So degree of influence ఏంటనేటువంటి చూడండి. So no influence అంటే 0, incidental means 1, moderate means 2, average means 3, significant means 4, essential is 5. So we are calculating the program for average complexity. సో యావరేజ్ కాంప్లెక్సిటీకి ఈ డిగ్రీ ఆఫ్ ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ ఎంత ఉంది యావరేజ్కి? 3. Okay, so we need to multiply that 3 with the CAA. Okay, all of you have understood it. CAA formula is 0.65 plus 0.01 into sigma Fi. So here why we got 3 is the degree of influence is average. So for average we are having the value 3. So that's why we are using 3 for this summation. So the value is 1.04. So the UFP value is 1.44 and CAA value is 1.04, wherein which we need to multiply these two values. The two values, the FP, the total value of FP is UFP into CAA, that is 1.44 into 1.04, which is 149.76. Okay, so ఈ యొక్క ప్రాబ్లం మీరు సాల్వ్ చేయాలంటే